So before you buy a new AVR, what are the key features that you need to look for? We'll cover the top 12 features that you must be aware of before you make that purchase so that you don't regret it later. And we're starting right now. Hello YouTube, this is Sounds Good and I'm Anuj. And in this space, as you're aware by now, we cover everything related to tech, gadgets, great sound, hi-fi, home theater, and all such good things. So in case you're new here, subscribe right now so that you do not miss any of the great info bites that we keep sharing here through our hi-fi community that interacts with us. And together we will mutually learn in this quest for hi-fi and great sound in your home at your space. This is a two-part series of all the key AVR features that you need to be aware of before you go into the market to buy your AVR. In the part 1, we covered a lot of ground. Here is a quick recap of it. You need to look at the number of inputs when choosing your AVR. Then we saw that you need to plan ahead and look at the number of channels that you may not need today, but you would eventually need. The kind of formats that you want to look for. If you are interested in getting into immersive formats like Dolby Atmos, you need to keep that in mind that the AVR that you buy today supports that. Speakers you can buy and add on at a later date, but you don't want to be changing your AVR when you want to add more speakers. Then we looked at planning ahead in terms of your power requirement. Today you may be planning to drive the already available speakers lying around in your house, but tomorrow you may want to go in for more audiophile grade speakers and they may require more power from your AVR, so you want to plan ahead for that. Then we looked at the availability of preamp outputs. In that we saw that at least you want the front soundstage preamp output to be available in your AVR should you ever need to run an external amplifier to drive the front left, center and right speakers. Then we looked in detail at the need for discrete twin subwoofer outputs. We also delved into technical details of subwoofers, how in general bass frequency behaves and travels in the room. Then I told you that you need to look for your favorite streaming services, whether they are supported in your AVR or not. We also covered within this point how Bluetooth is a lossy format and you don't want to Bluetooth from your phone into your AVR. You want AVR natively supporting those streaming services like Spotify that you care for. Those were some of the key features to look for. Now we will cover 6 ancillary features to look for in an AVR. These use cases will differ from one person to another. For some of these features may not be important, they may not care for it. And for the others, some of these features may be complete deal breaker, whether they are present in an AVR or not. So let's quickly run through those. Front HDMI support. It hurts me to see that Yamaha has abandoned any HDMI inputs on the front panel. I think it's a great thing to have to plug in any gadget on the go. Use case, let's say you have your PlayStation in another room, in the kids' room, but you quickly want to plug it into your AVR, which is in your main living room. Now you'll have to access the back of the AVR. AVR could be in an equipment rack. It could be sitting inside a cabinet, very tight, difficult to move out and access the back. Now you're stuck. How do you connect that? Because you don't have any front HDMI inputs, and I fail to understand why Yamaha recently dropped front HDMI inputs. So look out for that one in case it is important to you. Second, front composite input. What is composite input? You remember those RCA connectors, red, yellow, white, red and white being audio left and right channels and yellow being the video signal. So in case you still use the camcorders like a Sony Handycam and you want to plug it on the fly in the front and see the output through the AVR, through your television, play it for everyone right from the camcorder, then a front composite input may be important to you. Specialized use case scenarios. See for yourself if it is important to you or not. Not all AVRs have it. third is an important one for vinyl or record player enthusiasts. So if you are into vinyl or if you're into LPs, you have an LP player, or if you are planning to get an LP player and you would like to connect that to an AVR, then you need to see if the AVR has phono preamp. Now, what is a phono preamp? The signal that comes directly from the record player is a very, very weak signal, not ready to be amplified by the amplifier. So you need to have a phono preamp. Sometimes it's built into the record player, but not always. Some AVRs have phono preamp built in, so they can take that weak signal directly from a record player, do the phono pre-amplification within the AVR, and then finally amplify the signal. In case you have an LP player that you want to hook up to your AVR and your AVR doesn't have a phono preamp, neither does your record player, then you would need to buy a separate phono preamp box, which will be an additional expense for you. So see, the AVR in that case should have the phono preamp, then only buy that. Next is an important one, support for 4 ohm speakers. So more and more hi-fi enthusiast speakers or audiophile level speakers are 4 ohms. We see increasingly more and more of them are coming out in the 4 ohm iteration. What is ohm? What is impedance? In case you do not understand it, do let me know down in the comment below. If you want to know more in detail about it, I can make a separate video for that. It's a very elaborate topic, but just to give you a very, very brief overview, decade to decades ago, most of the speakers used to be 16 ohms. Few speakers used to be 8 ohms. These days, more and more speakers are 4 and 6 ohms, especially the high-end ones. What is all this? Ohms is just resistance or impedance in electrical terms or in the terms of physics, which is the amount of resistance that a speaker provides for the current to flow through it. Without getting into too much technicality, because it will be beyond the scope of today's video, let's just say a 16 ohm speaker, by the way, you don't see 16 ohm speakers anymore, are the easiest to drive for an amplifier. 8 ohms speaker are more difficult to drive. 4 ohm speakers are twice as difficult to drive, generally speaking, as an 8 ohm speaker. If I very quickly remind you of the physics equation in electricals and current chapters of your standard 8th, standard 9th, V is equal to IR. V is voltage, I is current, R is resistance. Ohm is also called impedance of the speaker, which is nothing but resistance. R represents what the ohm rating of the speaker is. I is the current. So to keep the same voltage, you can see in this equation, to keep the voltage same, if we reduce the R value by half from 8 ohm speaker to a 4 ohm speaker, then we will have to increase the I value by double. I is the current that amplifier has to put out. So you can see, if you have a difficult to drive 4 ohm speaker, the amplifier will need to put out twice the amount of current compared to an 8 ohm speaker. There are various other variables to it, but like I said, we're not getting into that too much in today's video. So generally speaking, a 4 ohm speaker compared to an 8 ohm speaker will demand roughly twice the amount of current from the amplifier to put out the same amount of SPL or sound pressure level or volume. Not all AVRs, especially the cheaper ones, are rated for 4 ohm speakers. You need to check that for sure. If you have speakers lying around that you would like to hook up to your AVR, see on the back of those speakers what are they rated at. Or if you're planning to buy some speakers, see if they are 4 ohms or not. But generally speaking, in today's day and age, I would like you to buy an AVR that is rated for 4 ohm speakers, because more and more audiophile speakers that are coming out, I see a majority of them these days, they're all 4 ohms. Some of them are 6. Yet another, zone 2 out. What is zone 2? While in your main living room, you may have the AVR and the speakers and the TV connected. Some of the better AVRs will give you a zone 2 or even a zone 3 out. What is a zone 2? A zone 2 could be a second room in your house. From the AVR, the speaker wires or the HDMI cable for TV will go into the second room, and you can have a second system happening in the second room, which is the zone 2, powered by the same AVR. Saves you money, doesn't it? Hit like if you're getting value from this. So a zone 2 out can be a lifesaver A zone 2 output display, as you can imagine, will send signal to the display in your zone 2 also, besides the zone 1. And with some of these AVRs, you can play different content at the same time to 2 different TVs. Another example of zone 2 doesn't have to be a bedroom. Zone 2 can be your balcony, your terrace. You may have a party and you may want to play music in more than one room. You may be just sitting on the terrace in the balcony and want to enjoy some good music. The same AVR, if it supports zone 2, just you have to run 2 speaker cables into your other zone. Let's say in my case, this balcony, and the AVR will be able to handle those 2 speakers as well. So an important feature to consider in case you didn't know about it. Sixth ancillary feature, and trust me, no one told you about this one, is the Bluetooth out. Bluetooth in, most AVRs will support. Let's say all AVRs will support. You can play music on your phone and Bluetooth it to your AVR, even though I've already advised not to do so. But what is Bluetooth out? Bluetooth out is when you don't want your AVR to put the music through your home theater speakers. Rather, you have a Bluetooth headset and you want to have the AVR output to the Bluetooth headset. You'll say, hey, why the heck would I ever want that? I've spent so much on building this home theater, buying all these speakers. I've got 9 speakers in the room, that AVR. Why did I spend all that money if I have to play that mammoth of an equipment and hear to its output through a Bluetooth headset? I'll give you a use case that you didn't think of. Imagine your home theater setup, let's say, is in your living room. It can be in any room. It can be a dedicated room. Let's say it's in a living room. You have returned from your office. You are sitting in the living room. Your son has his PlayStation plugged into the AVR on the big TV and he's playing Call of Duty. Now, if your AVR supports Bluetooth out, you can ask your son to put those Bluetooth headsets and turn off the speaker system, because all those firing and shooting sounds are blaring at you otherwise from the home theater setup. And now you can take that call from your boss without having to either step out into the balcony or yell at your son to turn it off. That's the advantage of a Bluetooth out. I bet you didn't know that one. So these were some of the key features, according to me, that you must be aware of. They may not all apply to you, I completely understand, but to each one of you, some of these will certainly apply. And if you've not been able to note down these personally, I will put them down below in the form of a document. Put a link in the comment. You can download the document from there, and that will be an easy reference guide for you and take along with you when you're out in the market for an AVR. Tick mark the features from it that are important to you or you think may be important to you 6 months or a year down the line. And in case you learned something new, do like this video. Let me know down in the comments, what have you learned new? What did you not know about? What did you think you would probably never need? But when I explained, then you realized that, oh hell yeah, this can be important. Do share this video in case you like the content. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. This is Sounds Good and I'm Anuj. See you in the next one. So this brings us to an end of our 2-part series of all the key AVR features that you need to be aware of. Hope you enjoyed this content as much as I enjoyed making it. Do let me know down in the comments what else would you like me to cover in terms of tech, hi-fi, home theater and all such good things. And in case you haven't subscribed yet, do that now.